The kingdom of God, to set the tone, reveal His purpose. It's what we do, so we gotta act. 237, there's a whole book on it. The question you gotta answer is, what are you gonna do? It's what are you gonna do? It's what are you gonna do?
All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Pierce Heart. My name is Curtis, and I am coming straight out of Acts 2:37, where it says, "And they heard the word, and they were cut to their hearts, or pierced to their hearts, and they looked around and said, 'What can we do?'" And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 months or so, asking myself, what can I actually do for the kingdom with my life? How can I live? How can I act? What can I do to expand? How can I inspire others with it? And that's the point of the whole channel. The whole channel is just to get people wondering, what can we do for the kingdom? Because the world is failing us, but God is just waiting for us all to turn back to Him and His ways so He can bless us. So welcome back to the channel. As I said before at the beginning, it's February, and it was a great January, and I'm excited for how things started, but let's keep the ball rolling. So I talked about how to develop your faith in the last series of videos. If you haven't seen those, go check those out. They're really good. And this month, I want to talk about how we defend our faith. And this is something very important to me, because when we first get saved, it's all about being on fire for God. You know, we're willing to do all these crazy things for God. Like, I want to serve in the church, I want to evangelize, I want to fast all the time and read the word and this, that, next thing. And for a lot of believers, you tend to start cooling off after 3 to 6 months, depending on the activity of your church, the things you get to accomplish, the things you get to partake of. Obviously, that's not the outlier. Obviously, there are people who continue to serve God and are inspired by Him every single day. But for us normal people, we have a cooling off period. And it's in that cooling off period that we either tend to take emphasis off of the Word of God, we take emphasis off of acting for God, prayer, meditation, reading His Word. And we, sorry, I'm getting over some things. And I don't want to say this without sounding like an a-hole. We tend to just kind of stop doing what we were doing. And that all comes down to what I like to call the heart posture. And what that means is that having a prostrate posture, which is, being willing to get on your knees for God, being willing to put your face on the ground for God, being willing to be submissive in God and body is one thing. Being willing to turn your heart to Him and have your heart be submissive to Him is a whole other situation. And it's this diligence that will either make or break you. If you're diligently turning your heart to God, it will help you to keep your heart on God, help you to keep from that cooling off period. If you diligently turn your heart away from God to other things, well, it'll speed up that cooling process and turn you into the first church of the frozen chosen. So let's get into the word today. I'm coming out of Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. And I don't know if I'm gonna start in 23 or end 23. Let's just run 22 to 27. Let's start at 21 actually. Proverbs 4:21 says, "Do not let them depart from your eyes. Do keep them in the midst of your heart." Let's start at 20. "My son, give attention to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart. For they are life to those who find them and health to all their flesh." Verse 23 is our focal verse. "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it will spring the issues of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, and put perverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look straight ahead, and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet, and let all your ways be established. Do not turn to the right or the left. Remove your foot from evil. Now I said 23 is our focal verse here. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Now, the heart is a muscle. It's an organ. It's also something that can be perverted or perfected. And what you allow in your heart will shape your life. This is that simple. Diligent faith is the wall that will defend your heart. It's the wall of defense around your heart. When you wrap yourself in faith, you take away the ability for the enemy to come within you, to get into you. And for me, what I found is that it's not just diligent faith that will set up a good defense, it's a consistent faith. And consistent faith is either going to be the key or the killer of your success when we are searching God, when we are praying to God, when we are, filling ourselves with His Word and filling our time, with His actions. That consistency will determine the success of that time. Because it's really easy to start reading the Word, especially as a book that you don't want to read, maybe Leviticus or Numbers perchance, and you're reading Leviticus and Numbers and you're sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, this is great, I love this, Lord, gotta get into your Word today, gotta start reading, and it's like, I have to talk about all the numbers and the arrangements and the how to clean myself and things that don't pertain to us particularly in this lifetime, but are still important to understand what it took. Or in Leviticus, like, all right, here's all the rules you have to follow. It's easy to wander off and let your mind wander. Same thing with prayer and meditation. You start praying to God and you're in a good prayer, and then you start thinking about, oh man, I gotta be at work in 20 minutes, or I gotta get ready to go to work, and it's like your prayer just gets absolutely blah. We have to take time to make time for God. We have to take time to make time to get into prayer, to meditate, and read His Word, because when we fill ourselves with diligent action, diligent faith action, we leave no room for the enemy to come in or give him an opening he can exploit, that he can, corrupt, who we are and what God has designed us to be. When you are full of God, there's no room for the enemy. And, on the flip side, if you're not full of God, then you're full of something. And I'm not pointing fingers or calling names, but, you do the math, you know what I mean? But in this case, diligence demands consistency because it demands a consistency of purpose. Faith is a purposeful thing. It's not an accidental thing. It's not a Pentecostal, accident or, a holy moment. It's a consistent thing. The moment should be moment to moment. It should be day to day. It should be glory to glory. It should be, it should be from point to point, and those points should not have giant spaces in them. It should be point. And we have to keep our heart clean and protected, because the world wants your heart just as much as God does. The world wants your heart all the things after the world. The next big thing, the next expensive gadget, the next hot toy line, the next, TV show that's got all this nice, sexy, steamy imagery that really stimulates the mind, but really it's just perverting your heart, because you're allowing your mind to take in things that it shouldn't, and that means that you're thinking about and focusing on things that aren't of God, which is perverting the heart that God gave you in the first place. But it helps us because the world wants us, like I said, to follow their things, which is, it wants us to remain within boundaries of wickedness. Because against all popular opinion, the heart does not start out great. God says we're born in sin, shaped in iniquity, and we have to make sure that when we finally, for ourselves, turn to Jesus and say, God, what can we do for your kingdom? We have to make sure that our heart is turned to do for the kingdom as well. And that is the basis of defending faith, because you have to defend your vital points. In your mind and your heart are your vital points. And you have to be diligent with protecting those things. From the things you see on social media, to the things that you're wanting, to the things that you're, longing for, you have to make sure that your heart is a diligent and consistent matter for you to take defense over and for you to pump faith into. Because this is just a body, God's not going to give you another one. You don't have another body. Contrary to popular belief, heart transplants aren't all what they're cracked up to be. And, any organ that's transplanted has a finite lifetime, and it's a less finite lifetime than the one that you were originally given. So instead of allowing yourself to be corrupted or to be perverted or to be shortened in length of life by filling it with things that aren't of God, give your heart an opportunity to become an eternal thing. Because when we turn to God, we go from being a mortal victim to an immortal victor. So, just some things to think about this week. Keep your heart defended, keep your faith on fire, and allow God in his ways to permeate, to saturate, to fill up your time, your efforts, your ability, and just make sure that you're staying, diligent and consistent in defense of the heart, because the heart is the key. And God talks about how he has the good things for you stored up in his heart. So why would you not want the good things of God stored up in your heart as well? That's what I got for you guys this week. Alright guys, thanks for turning back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell. Stay up to date with future post notifications. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, and I'm excited for this year. If you are interested in supporting me further, you can check out the merch shop, tph-faith-shop.printify.me. A lot of cool designs on there. I keep it as cheap as I possibly can. I'm not trying to make a ton of money, but it'd be great if I could see some Piercing Heart shirts out in the wild. That'd be awesome. So, just make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing. That helps push the videos out of the algorithm. And, make sure that you're getting in the word every single day, and make sure you're sharing the content with someone who might need it. Because the point of this channel is not to make me famous, but it's to make God famous. Let's get faith on the front page of YouTube. Peace out, God bless, and I love y'all.